Hello, good evening. Welcome to the David Meade Show on a Sunday. I saw something today on Facebook that I really wanted to that it really brought to my attention, and um, and I just really wanted to actually talk about it because I thought maybe it was important to talk about it. So I mean it's about because it's about the sign. It says that autism. Do you think that the police officers should have special training to deal with adult and children who are autistic? Yeah, I mean I agree with that. I think the police, the police department should, um, you know, uh, do some training to learn about children with autism, young adults with autism, so that way they know how to basically deal with the situation. You know what I'm saying? So because just in case that they actually run into that situation, because I know sometimes uh, police officers will run into a situation like this, and so if they have training, they can go. We can train the police officers to deal with adults and younger and children and young adults with autism. You know what I'm saying? Because if they run in a situation, they're going to assume that police. Some police officers will assume that that you know um, there's something wrong. You know what I'm saying? But that's why we need to train them to actually deal with that. You know what I'm saying? Situation, because you know children and young adults with autism. I mean, they have you know um, on a spectrum. They you got some of them that are nonverbal. You got some of them that are on the spectrum, that are high functioning. So and it's better that police officers would actually recognize that, because I think in Fall River, I don't think any of the police officers in Fall River are trained to deal with children with autism or young adults with autism. So I don't think they are. So I'm going to make it my mission to, spread awareness, um, and and talk to my city councilors and my legislations, and so that way they could pass a bill where that they could put even across the country. You know what I'm saying? So to put you know these police officers and train them to learn how to deal with young adults, adults with autism, even the ones that are nonverbal. And so I want to make it my mission to to make that happen, because um, I have uh, I have two stepsons, okay, and uh, I have a step grandson, and I also have a grandson. They have autism, and I wanted to make it my mission to have um, to make sure that police officers are trained to actually um, deal with this kind of situation, because I believe that our police department don't have that capability or that training to deal with children with autism. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think they do. So I believe that training that should be implemented to the that should be implemented, and and I will be talking to my city councils about it, and well, one of the city councils about it, and so that way they can have that training, so and to deal with the situation, because I don't think they have that kind of training, because what happens if they run into a situation and they don't know how to deal with young adults or children with autism? You know what I'm saying? So maybe them going through maybe a 6 months training course about it, so to learn about children with autism. So if they can, that would be awesome. So I mean, because we don't want any police officer to get into a situation and thinking and assuming that he's not listening. You know what I'm saying? Or he's just acting up because he wants to. You know what I'm saying? So we want the police officers to. I want to spread awareness and make it my mission to let let it known that police officers should be taking that type of course, because and or because I mean, sometimes you can run into a situation and you think and you're telling a young adult to stop, you know, and uh, stop. And if he doesn't listen, then I don't want police officers to assume that that he's not listening. I want them to know that okay, and stop and think. Why he ain't stopping? So okay, all right, well, and use their training and say, hey, look, well, you know what? Maybe, okay, uh, you know, uh, let's check. Maybe he's on a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what we want to do. That's my mission. That's what I want to, I want make that awareness, um, because a lot of I want it not only here in Massachusetts. I want this to go on all across the country. And with every law enforcement, even well, Massachusetts, Texas, Minnesota, all over the place. And so that way they know that when they run into a situation, and they that way they're already trained for it, and they know how to handle and deal with it. You know what I'm saying? So, but so that's I saw this on Facebook. I was like, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm just gonna make it my show today, and talk about it, and to see that that this here, yeah, of course, man, I support that 100%. Have police officers to take that kind of training, because I mean this is important, and we don't want to assume that the person's not listening. You know what I'm saying? Or and well, assume that the person's not listening. That they already know, okay, that and take the training to already know that either the young adult knows that they know that the young adult has autism. Okay, so or sometimes nonverbal, and things like that. So I want to make that my mission, and try to make it possible, because we don't want any problems happening in the future. You know what I'm saying? So and having that training will benefit, the police department, and also, yeah, it would benefit. It would actually benefit them. You know what I'm saying? So it would benefit everybody. It benefit, people, families that have children or young adults that are on the autism spectrum, like myself. And Yeah, I mean, it's we have to, I'm going to make it my mission, and I'm going to talk to the city councilors. I'm going to talk to, the legislators and stuff. But first, I'm going to talk to the city councilors, and see if that, if they could, see if they can get some actually funding for that, because I think that would be an excellent idea. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think it would. You know, I think it would benefit the police department. I think it would actually help out the families a little bit. Yeah. I mean, there's no harm of giving it a try. You know what I'm saying? I think it. Because you know, children and young adults with autism, even the ones that are on a nonverbal or high functioning, I mean, it's difficult. It's difficult for them. Okay, it is. It's so difficult for them, to understand. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. I'm just gonna keep walking, and so because sometimes, um, you know, kids with autism, they they seem to, they like to, they're not ignoring you. They're not. What they are doing is, they are focusing on the important things that they like in their life. You know what I'm saying? It's not that they're ignoring you. They just, want to, focus on what they like best. You know what I'm saying? Whether if there's their cell phone, or where if it's their cell phone, or being on a computer. But this is why, I like to make this, my mission and awareness, to all in law enforcement, so that way they know that, okay, all right, so we're trained for this, and so we already know that this person is on a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? But I believe our police department is not trained for this kind of situation. I believe it's not. Even some police departments throughout the whole around the country, I believe that, they should be, aware too. You know what I'm saying? And have the same training, because police officers have a difficult job. Okay, they do. Their job is difficult, and I want the police officers to recognize that, okay, when you tell a normal person, hey, uh, could you please stop? I need to talk to you. A normal person would stop and talk, but an autistic adult, or an autistic adult, high functioning, or nonverbal, that's a whole different story. Okay, okay. That's a whole different book. You know, um, you know, uh, they like their phones. They like to look at their phones, and most people would think, oh, uh, well, he's ignoring me. No, it's not that. Okay, it's not that they're ignoring. They're not ignoring you. They're looking at their phones. Okay, and they love their phones. They love to type. Okay, so things like that. Yeah, I mean, I, I think it's you know, I think it would be nice, if we can, have, uh, police officers to, have some kind of sensitivity training, and and train, and do some extra training for this, because I feel that the police officers that we have here in the city of Fall River, or even across the country, I don't even think they have training at all for it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to see police officers make a rational mistake. You know what I'm saying? And thinking that, oh, he's just ignoring me. He's walking away, and I want the police officers to. I want the department to recognize. Okay, so we took this training. This person may have be on the spectrum, so we have to actually be careful how we approach him. You know what I'm saying? The only way to approach an adult, a young adult with autism, you have to really get in front of him, you know, and try to get his attention. You know what I'm saying? And look them straight in the eye and get their attention. Because if you say, hey, just say, John, hey John, you need to stop. Hey, stop right there. And if he's not really answering, so you got to really honestly push back a little bit, and and go around them, just walk up to them and say hello, and and say, and get his attention. That's what you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, because other than that, if you tell an autistic adult, or hey, you need to stop, they're just going to keep walking. They're basically not even hearing you. You know what I'm saying? They're too busy, on their phones. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, they like to do things, and it's not that they're ignoring you. It's just that they're focusing on the one thing that they like to do best is their phones. You know what I'm saying? Or computers, or yeah. So I mean, that's why I think that would be a great idea. You know what I'm saying? For the police to take up that extra training, take the time to recognize an autistic adult or somebody nonverbal. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want no police officer jumping on, throwing somebody to the ground because they're not listening, and then come to find out later they're on a spectrum. You can't. I mean, that's why this training should be very important to the department. You know what I'm saying? And to recognize an autistic adult, or or nonverbal adult. You know what I'm saying? So there's high functioning, there's nonverbal, even a deaf person. You know what I'm saying? Even somebody that's deaf. You know what I'm saying? Um, you know, you want to recognize these things. You know what I'm saying? So even a deaf person too. I know quite a few deaf people. You know what I'm saying, that can't hear. You know, even them. You know what I'm saying? And the training for both of these things. It would be awesome. It would be one of the best things that they ever done, because you just don't want to assume that they're not listening, or assume that they're obeying orders. You know what I'm saying, from a police officer, and then all of a sudden now the police officer pulls out his taser and ends up tasing. Then coming to find out, it's either he's autistic or he's deaf, one of the two. So that's why these trainings are very important very important to take steps on these things. Okay, hey, you know what? Let me tell you something. I don't want to see cops. Cops have a difficult job. Okay, they do. Their job is difficult. I know from experience. Okay, I never been a police officer, so and but my uncle Neville Farias was a police officer, and he used to tell me stories about how difficult that their jobs are. Okay, and very hard to maintain sometimes, because sometimes when you get a call to a 911 call, or just a routine call to a house. One, you have to think about this: what's behind that door? Okay, what is behind that door? What is going on over there? Okay, that's what runs through a police officer's mind. Okay, is the person autistic? Is the person deaf? Okay, does he have some kind of mental illness? You know what I'm saying? What's going on? So as they're going to a call, they don't know this. Okay, until they get there, until they get there and assess the situation. Okay, so this is why when I saw this, I was like, wow. I said, why don't this? I mean, this should be good if the police department could actually take the time and come up with do the training. You know, even if the person, you don't know if the person's deaf, you don't know if the person's autistic, right? So I mean, you don't know these things. So take the time. You know what I'm saying? To put these programs out there for the police department. You know what I'm saying? Let them take the training. Something, it would save uh, countless lives. Okay, because I know. Okay, some police officers like to pull their taser. They like to pull a gun. You know what I'm saying? And and they make rational decisions. Okay, sometimes police officers make the wrong decisions. Okay, they make that wrong decisions, and when you make the wrong decisions, it's going to cost you your life, or you're going to go to jail for making that wrong decision. Okay, so that's why I said that it's the department. It's a good idea. I mean, there's no harm of making this awareness and putting this out there, and and talking about it. You know what I'm saying? You know, police officers make mistakes. Okay, they make the department makes a lot of mistakes. Okay, and and they make these decisions where that they think it's the right decision, which is it's not the right decision. Okay, and that's why the police department throughout the whole country, that's why they get sued, because they make wrong mistakes. Okay, and even when they pull over somebody's car, how do you know that the person that you pulled over, how do you know that he's not deaf, or how do you know that he's not on a spectrum? Okay, autistic spectrum. When you make a stop, so it's important to understand this situation, because once you make that bad decision, and you're pulling out you're pulling out a person thinking, oh, he's not listening, he's not doing this, and then all of a sudden you break his window with the bat, and then you pull him out of the car, and then come to find out he's either deaf or he's autistic, one of the two, okay, or disabled. So you have to understand that rational decisions could cost you a lot. Okay, could cost you a lawsuit, your pension, and everything else, and everything that you own. So things like that, okay, make it things like this make a difference, in the world. So, because you don't want to jeopardize your job, you don't want to jeopardize anything. So that's why when people make decisions, police officers make decisions. They make the wrong. Some of them make the wrong decisions. and that's why people like us, we hold these people accountable, because the decisions that they make, okay, decisions that they make these decisions where that people, where that, okay, did I do the right thing? Okay, did I do the right thing, or did I do the wrong thing? So police officers think about that every day. Okay, hey, did I, did I put the cuffs on this guy for because I was angry at him, and not knowing that he was autistic or he was deaf. You know what I'm saying? Things like this make a difference. Okay, if people want to make a difference in the world, start making it. Start making a difference. Spread awareness on on things like this, because it makes so much better. It does so much better. It makes a difference for everybody. You know what I'm saying? You know, because we all do. You know what I'm saying? But cops make those decisions, and and sometimes they do it out of. Sometimes police officers do it out of anger. You know what I'm saying? And which is not good. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know how if this police you don't know if this person is autistic. You know what I'm saying? You don't know that. Happy Sunday. You don't know this if this person is autistic or not. You don't know if this person is deaf. You know what I'm saying? Or has cerebral palsy or something. You don't know that. You know what I'm saying? Unless you take the training. Training is a lot better than a police officer losing his job and his pension and everything. So so I'm just encouraging everyone. Hey, talk to your legislators, talk to the city councilors, write some letters or something to them, and say, hey, look, I think, you can say, hey, I listened to the David Meade show, and he came up with some good points, about police officers taking this training. You know what I'm saying? And to recognize, you know, symptoms about autism, learn about cerebral palsy, learn about somebody being deaf, and you know, and instead of making dumb decisions, you know what I'm saying, because when you make the wrong decision, the wrong decision could cost you your job. Okay, cost you your job. Okay, and also lawsuits and everything. You don't want that. So that's why making good decisions and taking these training is one would help everybody. Okay, and yeah, and and I know that sometimes police officers have, they have difficult jobs. They when they get a call, 911 call, routine call, it runs through their mind. Okay, hey, what kind of call is this? What are we getting into? How are we going to handle this? You know what I'm saying? It's decisions making. You know what I'm saying? When they get to a call, say a domestic violence call. Okay, I and the police officer gets a 911 call, a routine call to a domestic. Okay, and they don't know what they're thinking. They don't know what's going on. They don't know who's behind the door. They don't know if the person's got a gun, you know what I'm saying? A knife, a bat, you know what I'm saying? They don't know that, you know what I'm saying? Until they get there, you know? So, and that's what it all comes down to this right here. They don't know if the person's autistic. They don't know if the person's got cerebral palsy. They don't know if they don't know if the person's deaf. You know what I'm saying? They don't know the problem until they get there. You know what I'm saying? So still they start talking to everybody and say, hey, what went on here is, and and then, hey, well, all right, well, all right, so well, the reason why this person act up because this person is autistic. That's why, okay? Or the person's deaf, or the person's uh you know uh uh got cerebral palsy or something, and or a mental, or some kind of mental issue. You know what I'm saying? You know, and but things like that. You know what I'm saying? So we have to. They need to be trained, man. I hate to say it. Not only our police department, but our the police departments throughout throughout the whole country. I mean, they need to first, let's start with our police department, and so that's why I make it my mission to make awareness of all this, because things you know cops make bad decisions a lot of time, though they do. I mean, oof, God, they make bad decisions. I mean, they either gun happy, taser happy. You know what I'm saying? They love they something, when they have that badge on their shirt, okay, you know, they think they own the world. You know what I'm saying? Because that the badge makes them a powerful person, okay? Which is, some cops do use that badge, and some cops use and abuse that badge and use it for the wrong thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why police officers lose their job, because the things that they do that they shouldn't be doing. Okay. And they make these wrong things. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you know, uh, well, oh, and but still, and then when the police officer goes to in front of the internal affairs, okay, I call them the rat squad. So the internal affairs, when they do their investigation, and they're like, and the police officer's like, oh no, I mean, hey, I thought I was doing the right thing. Well, did you know this person was autistic? Did you know this person was deaf? No, no, sir, I didn't. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know this person was autism, was on a spectrum, or if he was high functioning, or if he was nonverbal, or if he was deaf, or had cerebral palsy. I didn't know this. You know what I'm saying? So this is why it's important to take this training, so that the training, so that way they know what's going on. So that way, um, when they get a call, they don't have to think and say, hey, is this person autistic? Is this person nonverbal? Is this person has cerebral palsy? Or is this person deaf? You know what I'm saying? I mean, things like that would make a difference. You know what I'm saying? So they won't have to be thinking about all that. And when they get there, they'll know right away. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I'm just letting you guys know from experience, man. And because I live with a young adult, that he's on a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? I live with it. You know what I'm saying? I know. You know, I have a step grandson. He's also autistic too. He's on a spectrum. I have a step grandson too that's also on a spectrum. You know what I'm saying? So I'm surrounded with it. So I could actually talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I learned, okay, um, when I was when I first I learned about a lot about autism. Okay, I learned a lot about being children being on a spectrum. I learned about it. You know why? Because I run into it all the time. Okay, I run into young adults with autism. I do all the time, and you know something, and learning about it, it makes me feel good inside. Okay, to learn, because learning about it and seeing it, okay, and living with it, it's 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 a whole different. It's seeing it and being around it, and but I live with it, and it, all the time. Okay, and I feel good about learning more about the autism and people on the spectrum, young adults, whether they're children or not. You know what I'm saying? Um, it makes me feel good inside. Okay, it does. It makes me, want to inspire more people, to also learn about it to itself. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's great. You know what I'm saying? When you once you learn about it and you learn the ways of an autistic adult that's on the spectrum, um, and once you learn their ways, you'll learn how to handle things better. You know what I'm saying? You'll learn how to handle things, and yeah. So I'm encouraging a lot of people too. Also, to learn the you know learn about people with autism. You know what I'm saying? Um, adult children. You know, and learn about it. You know what I'm saying? Learn about their ways, okay? Because when I met my stepson, okay, I didn't know anything about autism. Okay, I had to learn it. Okay, okay, I had to learn it. I had to look up things. I had to ask questions about it. Okay, I had to. Okay, and and it feels so much better to understand a young adult with autism. It and then once you start meeting more and more and more and more, let me tell you, it feels so good inside. Okay, to understand and learn their ways. Okay, and understand them because you know how would I know? You know what I'm saying? If I didn't learn autism, okay, how would I know? I probably, wouldn't even understand that. Okay. So it's good to know. Okay. So it's very good to know. And people shouldn't go around bullying autistic children either or autistic adults. People shouldn't go, there's a lot of, and I've been told this many times. There's a lot of bullies out there. Okay, that like to bully autistic young adults and nonverbal uh, adults. Okay, and it's not good to actually do that. Okay, you know, and sometimes when people do it, I want to make it aware of that too. And once you bully somebody that's on the spectrum, then you're a bully yourself. You know what I'm saying? So, and you're bullying people with autism. No, man, it's wrong. It's wrong to do. I mean, uh, when you grow up and you have kids of your own, how do you know that your kids are not going to have autism? Okay, and somebody goes and bullies your son or your daughter or who on that are on the spectrum. It's not right. Okay, it's not. Okay, there's better ways to understand a young adult with autism. There's better ways. Look it up. Grab a book from the library. Look it up on a computer. Look it up on your phone. Ask questions about it. Okay. That way you can. That way there is better understanding. You'll have better understanding about it. You know what I'm saying? Instead of bullying and assuming that they're not paying attention to you. And that's why I'm asking. Okay. See if the police department, see if they can get some training for for the police department, not only in my state but across the country. Okay, because there's a lot of assuming this and a lot of assuming that, and it's not right. Okay, take the course, learn about it, because I'll tell you, it's worth it. It is. It's so worth it to learn about how you can talk to somebody that's on the spectrum instead of judging them or bullying them. Because I tell you, you know, it feels so good inside to know how autistic children work and how they respond to questions when you're asking. Let me tell you this one. Okay. Let me tell you this. Okay. You know, autistic children are one of the greatest people that you want on your side. Okay, because they're loyal, they're helpful, and I'll tell you, they know a lot about computers. Okay, electronics. Them are the ones that you want on your side. Believe it or not. Okay. Yes, that's them are the ones that you really want because let me tell you. And you know what? Let me tell you something. And if I had my own business, I would hire an autistic, a young adult, and even a geek. I would hire because you want to know why? Because they're smart, they're intelligent. Okay, geeks know coding. Uh, Adults on a spectrum, they know how to work. They know everything about computers. And tell you something, they're intelligent, they're smart. Okay. And and them are the ones that you really want on your side. Them are the ones that you really want to hire for your business, believe it or not. I'm just saying, because and that's what would make the business grow because of people like them that know about computers, that know how to take a software, know how to open up, know how to build a computer, know how to put software in a computer. Okay. Let me tell you something. My stepson Jacob, okay, he knows how to he put 16 gigs in my hard drive. Okay. And let me tell you, my computer never ran better. Okay. It never ran better. Okay. And let me tell you something. He's awesome. Okay. And you know something? And I love him. I love that kid. Okay. I brought him up ever since he was 11, and now he's 20. He's an adult now. You know what I'm saying? And let me tell you, he's an awesome kid. Okay. And and I would never, I would never trade anything my whole entire life for anything because Jake, my son Jake, he's right now he's my whole world. Okay, okay, and I care about him a lot, and I do, and and yeah, I care about him a lot, and I really like to let people know that I do, and I brought him up ever since he was 11. He knows. He's talented. Okay, he knows everything about computers. Okay, and let me tell you, I don't know jack anything about computers. Okay, all I know how to do is open up the computer, go on Facebook, go on my YouTube channel. Okay, that's the only thing I know how. Okay, he showed me how to put a 16 gig in my computer. And I tell you, my computer runs so smooth. It runs fast, but it runs smooth. Okay. And and I'll tell you, there's not a job too big and there's not a job too small for him to put an e-bike together. Okay. And set up a computer. Okay. Awesome kid. Okay. Loyal, compassion, with everything that he does. And you know what? I would never ever trade. I would never uh, trade anything for anything because he's awesome. Okay, and that's why I said police officers need to go and take that training so that way there's no mistakes. Okay, and because It could cost a lawsuit, could cost you your job, could cost, everything you have when you make a mistake. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said maybe the training should be, out there. Okay. And it doesn't, and that's why I wear a shirt, autism dances. That's why I wear this shirt right here. See this shirt? This shirt right here, autism dances. That's why I wear it, because you know what? Because I do support the ones that are on. I do support the autism awareness, and even the ones that are on, all of them, any children that are on a spectrum. So I just I feel like coming out and actually saying it, because it makes me feel good about it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I want, kids will, police officers should be taking the training. They should be. You know what I'm saying? And even not only our department, but across the country, they should be actually taking this time to realize that that training needs to be done. Take it with put the autism training in there with the people that are deaf and not and nonverbal. You know what I'm saying? Put it all together. Training works, saves a lot of heartache, okay, and a lot of lawsuits and time, okay. So, and that's what we don't want. And whether somebody disagrees with me with this, then and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you right off the bat, a lot of the community out there, families, mothers, fathers that have the um, mothers, fathers that they have the autism, has autism children, they would actually agree with me on this. They would actually agree, because you know why? It saves a lot of time. Okay, it does. Saves a lot of time. Saves a lot of trouble, lawsuits, and stuff like that. Because I know some police officers they're gun happy, they're taser happy, or if you don't listen, they automatically assume that you're not listening, and they grab you, throw you to the ground, or they pull you out of the car without even thinking about the consequences that's what's going to happen to them. You know what I'm saying? So things like that. I mean, so that's why it pays off to um, take that time. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's not a waste of money. Something I would love my taxpayers to. I would love to pay for that. That training. You know what I'm saying? I would. You know, well, they need to take that time and and think about the worst things and that could happen. You know what I'm saying? When they make a wrong mistake like that. Okay. Because cops are, either gun happy or taser happy. They like to, if you're not listening to them, they like to, pull you out of the car, throw you on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Break the window in your car. You know what I'm saying? Or, without even asking, without even thinking and saying, "Hey, maybe this guy could be on a spectrum. Maybe this guy could be deaf. We don't know that." So it's good to ask, and it's good to take the time, take the time, take the time to read about autism. Take the time to read about signs of deafness. Deaf. If somebody's deaf with the hands like this and stuff, things like that. Take that time instead of making the wrong decisions. Okay. So wrong decisions could cost you. Okay. And that's why I'm actually putting this out there, because I really want people to be awareness of what, have awareness of this, because mistakes could cost you your career. And something, my uncle Nero, okay, always took the time to talk to me about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? He knew about about the autism stuff. You know what I'm saying? He knew about it. This training needs to be implemented into the police department across the country. They need to take that time. I don't care how long it takes. Take the time. Open up a book. Take the time to learn. Okay, before a mistake happens. Because if a mistake happens, then you're gonna either you're gonna pay for it at the end. Okay, if you drag somebody out of the car and you're not knowing, okay, whether they're on a spectrum or they're deaf, or they're on the several, they have cerebral palsy. Okay, you don't know that. Okay, take the time to learn about it. Take the time to study and say, hey, look, well, he's right. I'm saying you can take the time and learn these things. Okay, because once a friend of mine told me, okay, that I will not mention his name because it wouldn't be nice to do so. But a friend of mine told me, he says, when you bully somebody, an autistic adult or somebody that's nonverbal, it's not good because you're assuming that they're not listening, or they're assuming that they don't want to talk to you, or they don't want to pay attention to you. And I will explain this 100 times. Okay, if they're not talking to you, don't assume that they don't want to talk to you. Take a look and see what they have in their hand. And that should tell you. It's either they'll have a phone in their hand or if they'll have earphones on. Okay? So, I mean, take the time. You know what I'm saying? Take the time to recognize these things. Take the time to understand somebody that's on a spectrum. Don't assume. Because if you go ahead and assume, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you. Because let me tell you something. It's not it's basically not an easy thing. But you know what? And that's why I took the time to open up a book. I took the time to look on a computer. I took the time to learn about autistic. I took the time to learn about deaf. I took the time to learn about how even somebody with cerebral palsy has. Okay. I took the time to learn all these things because you want to know why? Because I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn their way. Okay. I know my way, but I wanted to learn their way, how to handle things. Okay. Because, just say I didn't know anything about autism, okay? And I go up to an autistic adult and start screaming at him, okay? What is that doing for me? Okay? That's not doing nothing for me. That's probably going to give me a headache at the end of the day. Because you want to know why? Because I did not learn anything about autism. That's why. So that would give me a headache. So in other words, I'd be talking for my health because one, they'll put their headphones on. Two, they'll have a phone in their hand. Okay, they're just focusing on what they love, what they like to do best. Okay, so don't assume that they're not listening. Don't assume that they're not paying attention to you because they're focusing. Either with headsets on or having a phone in their hand. So don't assume that they're not listening because you're going to run into so many problems. Okay, so take the time. Police officers too, across the country, even ours, should take the time to listen to what. And open up a book, listen to it, look it up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they have YouTubes about autism. They have So they have these things. They have training about autism. I mean, police officers too. They could look up on the computer, up on YouTube too, and learn about it. They can print things out and read about them. They can open up a book and read about it. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot easier than going through a hassle. Okay, and assuming that they're not listening, but if you'll take a look, they're interesting phones right here. Phones, headsets, okay, sometimes earbuds, okay. That's why when I see a young adult with head that is on a spectrum and he has earbuds in his ear, okay, don't assume that he's not paying attention to you, because know why? Because he's got his phone in his hand and he's concentrating, okay, on the things that he likes. Okay. You just go up to him and say, hey, go like that, raise it, and say, and go like that, make sure he's once he sees that movement on your hand, he'll automatically know that you want to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? So things like that. So, I sometimes I just love people how they assume that they assume a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but an autistic adult could be your best friend, believe it or not. And they're very loyal on everything. They're loyal, and let me tell you, and they could be helpful on a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? Computers, operating systems, things like that. So, and the best thing is not to scream at them. Don't scream at somebody that has autism, because it would overwhelm them very sad, very bad. That would overwhelm them. Okay. It would. It would overwhelm them very bad. Never, ever, ever scream at an autistic child or an adult, because that would oh my God, yeah, that would overwhelm them very bad. And let me tell you, they will. They will lash out at you, and that's how it is, and yeah, and and again, let me go and let me go back to someone that has ADHD too. Okay, you know, you know, when you see a person can't sit still, not even a minute. Okay, ADHD comes into place. I know because I was diagnosed with it. Okay, and you never, um, yeah, it's ADHD. Sometimes on any sometimes ADHD. Sometimes, we, you know, we have people like us that have it. Okay, sometimes we don't sit still. We stand. We don't sit in one place. We get up and move around a lot. So that's the ADHD. Um, and so I still got a lot learn more about it too. So um, and sometimes person with ADHD, they like to same thing with an autistic person. They like to take things with them. You know what I'm saying? They like they don't want to forget it. They don't want to forget. Try not to forget anything. Make sure things are charged. At the end of the night, or and you know, and they like to take things with them. You know what I'm saying? And to have them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm one of them people that that like to take stuff with me. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I don't stay still. I just like to move around a lot. You know what I'm saying? You know, um, so And again, you know what I'm saying? You know, that's another thing, another training that they should be learning. You know, somebody with ADHD. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know. You know what I'm saying? You know, if the person is well, I told you because I have it. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? You don't know if anybody else does. So take the time to learn all these possibles like the autism, the deaf, hand signals, autism, ADHD, cerebral palsy. Learn these things. These things are important to do so. Okay, because you can't assume any of okay, he's not going to stop. He's just going to keep walking. He's not paying attention to me. You know, the police are like, oh, he's not paying attention to me. He's going to keep walking. He's going to, and that's when they start assuming, and that's when they reach for their taser, and that's either that or a weapon. You know what I'm saying? And that's the scary part about it. So take that time. The police department all across the country, even ours, should be learning these things because one mistake could cost you, and it could cost you your job, could cost you your pension. You know, so that's what I wanted to come on for. But since I'm on, I'm gonna go and see if there's anything else that I can talk about today while I'm on. Maybe I can. So let's cover all these. Let's cover all these bases. Who's this? Oh, yeah. So it's like all these things that you have to, come across. You know what I'm saying? So please take the time to learn. Take take time to learn. Police department should take the time to learn. So yeah, Massachusetts Governor Moore Healey is announcing statewide lunches by EBT, chips, cards, and yeah, she well um, just speaking about that, um, the EBT cards. More Governor Moore Healey implemented those that card, okay, with the chips in them. So anybody that's collecting food stamps has a food stamp case open. The uh, the Department of the Welfare Department will be issuing the food stamp department. The state will be issuing new food stamp cards with the chips in them. So Governor Moore Healey, huh? Oh, so that would benefit. So that way the card uh, and uh, and your benefits won't get stolen. So that's why the reason for the chip. Yeah, you use a special two-way encryption, a different encrypted code every time you make a transaction. So yeah, so that's why that would actually benefit because of the scam and and so that way it protects your benefits. You know what I'm saying? Your food stamps, so nobody steals it. So that's why Governor Moore Healey implemented the chip. So for the card, she done one thing right. Yeah, it's secure encryption every time you tap the card. What's that? Every time you tap the card, it's secure encryption. Yeah, so every time you tap the card, it secures the encryption. That way, data can't be stolen. So that way, the data doesn't get stolen. So that's why. So I just want to actually let people know about that too. And Let's see what else is going on in the world here. See, see, this is what I mean. About police officers, how they we need to treat and like these. This is a normal, not always whole system that needs to be burned. Yeah. So see, this is why police officers need to be trained. Okay, because of people like this. Okay, so I mean, police officers like this. Um, you know, um, they put people to the ground. Uh, you know, um, you know, they put people to the ground. They push them and put them to the ground like this. You know what I'm saying? So, and yeah. Oh, nice cause. Yeah, old fashioned cars. I think this is in Somerset. I think. Wow, awesome car. I don't know if this one's Somerset or BCC. Wow, these cars are awesome. A lot of car shows. Yeah, there's two car shows going on today today, but I believe there's one in Somerset too. That's happening too. So people are just let's see, no bus. Yeah, it's pretty awesome though. Nice cars. Yeah, kind of like love old fashioned cars. And Corvette and stuff. Yeah. I'm just kind of like really looking to see what's lurking, what's going on. Um, so that's what I'm trying to do right about now. Trying to um, see here what's going on. Yeah, trying to put some positive stuff up there. You know what I'm saying, and just to look and see. It's, yeah. Oh, I forgot the yeah. Put Dawn's name in there. All right. Let's see what else is going on here. Yeah. So having let's see. All right. I like to do this because I will actually be taking this off. So yeah. So we're gonna look around on Facebook and see what else to talk about. Maybe could like talk about some stuff, you know. Yeah. Um, and down there, yeah, that's my mom and me. When I was, I wanted do some throwback stuff. So that was me right there with the honor guard uniform on. My mom was a woman auxiliary. I really like to actually post that because I think that was awesome. When the American Legion was around, I went by there a few days ago and on my e-bike, and they turned that whole place into a market rate apartments. So yeah, they did. That whole thing got turned around, and I guess it was sold. And the American Legion on Port Street, market rate apartments, and which is that was awesome. That was actually cruel for them to do, believe it or not. So yeah, so I really want to recognize my mom and I. So I am taking the time and do these pictures. So I am taking that time, and I like to, recognize my mom and recognize myself. So yeah, they did. They make market rate housing out of it. So and yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty cool sign. Governor Moore Healy, well, she needs to resign. She is corrupt. At that point, you know what I'm saying. So, yeah. Well, I mean, she did one thing nice, but that's only to because election day, election year is around the corner. So, and so of course they're gonna, of course they're gonna do something nice. You know what I'm saying? And then once elections all over, then they're gonna go back and say, "Hey, all right, so elections over. So let's go and do. Let's not even think about the people anymore." You know what I'm saying? So, but that's probably the only reason why she implemented the food stamp card with the chips on them because she knows election years around the corner. She's going to lose her seat, so that's why. So every time the election, when election comes, this is actually what they do. Okay, they do this all the time, and I've seen this uh, countless over and over and all the time. You know what I'm saying? So even if there is election around the corner, this is what they do. You know what I'm saying? They start doing nice things and stuff. So that way they can gain votes, but it's wrong to do that. I mean, why do it now because of election day? Why didn't you do this before? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so it's because of election day. They gave $1,000 to cats, and $1,000 to cats, and they didn't even care about the basically about the autism park. You know what I'm saying? But the autism park is being taken care of by um, by somebody that donated. People that donated. Uh, you know, um, one person donated $1,000, the other person donated $500. And there's a lot of people that donated just to get that autistic park. I support that too. You know what I'm saying? Kennedy Park is a big, huge park. Yeah, they can split that park in half. And keep the baseball field, make it one half. One half. They can make, they can go down to the bottom where the pool is, and make an autism park down there, so that way they can go down there and play. Or make a separate park for them. Okay, so that way they can play in. You know, so I mean it's so we're gonna get that POC one way or the other. You know, so yeah, so they gave $1,000 to cats before they gave $1,000 to another, you know, for an autistic person for a POC. You know what I'm saying? You know, why would you want to give $1,000 to cats? Okay, what's the way? You're gonna buy the cat dog food or cat food? Give me a break. You know, that shows that that shows that some of these politicians don't have any morals. You know, that shows that some of these politicians that don't have any morals for anybody, and and they just politicians they assume to embarrass themselves because they know that they're doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So they do. They know they're doing wrong, and they know that we know that they're doing wrong. And you know what gets me a lot of times. Okay, they know that we hold them accountable. Okay, they know a lot about like Maura Healey, Cal Fiola, and Michael Rodrigues. They don't want the audit. Okay, they basically don't want it because you want to know why? Because if that audit was here, let me tell you something. Okay, you know how much money that audit would find. Okay, and questions will be answered. Where did that money? Why did this? Uh, what did this money go for? Okay, or what did that money go for? Michael Rodrigues, Healy, Cal Viola, they don't want to spend the time to answer that kind of question. They don't. Okay, and this is why we get upset at them. Okay, because instead of supporting the audit, support the audit. That thing passed. The people we voted for it, and we're not gonna stand for it. Okay. If you don't want the audit, then you can resign. Get out of office. We don't need you. Okay, we don't need your stupidity, bull. You know what I'm saying? We don't need it. So if you're going to not support the audit, get out of office. Because you know something. Because what it tells us that you guys are just grabbing money whenever, and not telling the people where the money's going. So that's why we want the audit to speak for itself. You know. So that's why we need the audit to speak for themselves, because that's why they don't want it, because they're afraid once that audit is implemented in place, the audit's going to find it, and questions are going to be raised. Where did the money go? Where did the money go? How it was spent? What we were spending on? And these are the kind of questions that Michael Rodrigues don't like to answer, because a lot of times he gets caught in his own world. Okay, and he gets caught in his own world anyway, and he gets caught in a lot of lies anyhow. The people of Massachusetts, oh, we like Michael Rodrigues. We like him. You like him so much, but you complain, you bitch, you complain about his, what he does, but your people still vote for these people. Maura Healey, Michael Rodrigues, Cal Viola. Your people vote for these people. Yeah, you talk about these people, how bad that they're doing, but again, your people still vote for them. So why is that? Don't make sense. And it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so you got Boomer Amaral running for senator. You got Sylvia running. You got Manny Sylvia running for senator. Okay, and you got people running against Cal Viola. But my opinion, I hope Cal Viola loses his seat. Okay, I hope she does. Okay, and you know what? I hope Michael Rodrigues loses his seat too. Okay, And and but something though, Alan Sylvia was smart. Okay, you know what he did? Okay, he supported the audit. Know why? Because it's election day. You know why? So that way he doesn't lose his seat. He thinks that we're all dumb. Okay, and we're not. Okay, so that's why they do it. Okay, he probably put it in some thought and said, you know what? I'm going to support the audit because it's election day. That's why. Moy Healy, she's still trying to figure it out. She don't know which way to go. But like I said, Mayor Wu from Boston, the Boston mayor, is not supporting Moore Healy, because what Moore Healy's doing is Moore Healy is supporting more of the illegals. I don't care. I mean, who likes them, who don't. You know what I'm saying? But I come from an immigrant. I come from an immigrant family. Okay, and my family came in the right way. Okay, and let me tell you something. Uh, you know, and giving tax dollars out to them. You know what I'm saying? Our money. We're paying for this where we shouldn't even be paying for all this nonsense. Okay, that's my opinion. That's my First Amendment right to speak out on it. So, and that's what I do. I mean, hey, again, I'm an independent journalist. Okay, and I speak out on I speak out on what's right and what's right and what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, yeah, I mean, you can't basically let these people get away with these things. Okay, some people like the illegals in here. Some people do. Some people don't. Some people like the Palestinians. Okay, some people like them. I have no problem with them. Okay, because some of them are Christians. Okay, and so but again, and I speak. The reason why I speak out on this is because we cannot please everyone. Okay, whether if you're right, whether if you're wrong, or whether if you disagree with them, you cannot please anybody. Everyone has their own mind. Okay, everyone has their own opinions. Okay, let it be. Let it be, because speaking out on issues is a lot better. Okay, but with all that being said, I hope everyone, has a great day today, and I hope everyone, enjoys the car shows that are out there, and hopefully one day I can get out there and talk about cars, car shows, hopefully. But I haven't been because I have been kind of like really so busy. I love to go to car shows. Car shows are my favorite. So I'm going to bring the weather up, and I'm going to talk about the weather a little bit. Let me see if I can just bring it up on my phone. Be better off and stuff. And let me see. So if I can bring the weather up on my phone, chill. Hold on. Let's see. Let me see if I can. Well, I mean, partly cloudy conditions expected around 5 p.m. Winds gust up to 17 miles an hour. Today, 71 degrees to 82. Monday, it's 100% chance of rain, 70 to 78. Tuesday, 63, 85. Wednesday, 40. On Tuesday, it'll be like 40% chance of rain, so 63, 85. Wednesday, 40% chance of rain, 65, 83. Thursday, 40% chance of rain, 71, 85. Friday, 50% chance of rain, 74.86. Sunday, 40% chance of rain, 73.82. Monday again, 72.85, 40% chance of rain. Tuesday, 30% chance of rain, 65.81. So that's your 5-day forecast from the David Meade Show. And I want everyone to have a great day. Enjoy your car shows. Enjoy the car show. So this is it's Sunday. I'm sorry. It's 8. I put 7, but it's 8/2/26, 2026. So it's 8. I put 7 by mistake. So it's 8/2, 2026 today. So but I want to thank everybody for watching and listening to Fall River Media News. The David Meade Show. So used to that. So the David Meade Show. So take care, everybody. Have a great day, and we will be back on Wednesday, and we'll be talking with some more stuff. So take care, everybody. But just remember. Hold your politicians accountable, and another thing. Hopefully, we can get that training, started with the Fall River Police Department, and so that way they can be trained with the autistic adults and ones with cerebral palsy and the ones that are deaf. So take care, everybody. Have a great day, and we will. Be back on Wednesday, Wednesday afternoon at 3:00. Take care, everybody.